Hi, I'm Matt here in Michigan.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. This week, Matt and I are going to take a look at a movie that came out in 2019, The Lighthouse. It stars Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and that's pretty much it. I guess except for the weird mermaid lady. But Matt, let me know. Not having caught this in theaters, what do you think of The Lighthouse?
I liked it, but I guess I don't know what I was expecting from it. I knew it was kind of like, all right, it's mostly going to be about Willem Dafoe, Robert Pattinson's characters. They're alone in this lighthouse for an extended period of time and kind of go crazy, being with each other and stuff, or so it seems, or whatever. So I mean that's what I got in this film. So I guess it was
I
what I was
guess
expecting,
you got
but
exactly what you expected out of the
yeah,
movie.
but I
Well,
guess I didn't know how it was gonna play out.
so the movie's description is kind of like, hey, there's these two lighthouse keepers, and they kind of get stuck in isolation with each other longer than expected. They're only supposed to be there for 4 weeks, but then a storm rolls in, and everything just kind of goes to hell. And I was expecting that. I was expecting kind of like a descent into madness story, isolation. Which who knew in 2019 when they made this movie that it would be the perfect movie to watch in 2020. But really, I wasn't expecting all of the superfluous things, all of the extra that's in this movie, the weird thing that Willem Dafoe's character has going on with the lighthouse and the light and whatever that is, kind of the mystical things, like I mentioned in the intro. There's a mermaid, and she's probably imaginary and made up, but that's kind of weird. I wasn't expecting that kind of stuff. It was pleasant though. I mean, it was completely unpleasant, but like it was a pleasant change of pace.
It was kind of interesting because, like I said, I was thinking of like the madness to set in a bit after they've been there for a while. But Robert Pattinson's character, he's kind of got that's at the beginning, like the first couple days that he's there with Willem Dafoe, stuff is starting to set in.
His character, I couldn't quite figure out whether or not like he's he's actually got a mental illness or something. If because he used to work as a logger, and then he moved to this after he basically let someone else, one of the other loggers, drown. But like, did he really, or is that story fabricated? I'm kind of still struggling to understand like whether or not his character is maybe like supposed to have multiple personalities or something. I don't really know, or if he is supposed to have mental illness. Uh, and maybe everything is in his mind, and really Willem Dafoe's character is not going crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think this movie's definitely open to interpretation, and that is one that I was kind of going through as well. Like, how much of this is actually just in Robert Pattinson's mind or whatever, and what is like, is Willem Dafoe being manipulative because he doesn't want anyone else really discovering, the light or what's in the lighthouse kind of thing, or is it something that Robert Pattinson's just making up in his mind, kind of like he's just perceiving Willem Dafoe's character in a certain way. So I mean, yeah, it's something that you kind of question throughout the movie. But yes, lots of natural elements. Like you already mentioned the mermaid, and then of course you have the seagulls and stuff. Remember, Randall, it's bad luck to injure or kill a seagull.
It's bad luck to kill a bird. Hasn't anyone? I mean, everyone knows this. Come on. But this movie's just got a ton of themes too. There's a lot going on here. There's obviously kind of a theme of like the old school supernatural character. That's Willem Dafoe's character, and he believes in all of the she shanty myths and stuff like that. And then Robert Pattinson's character is just like, that's all made up. It's a superstition. And they grind gears there. So there's like an age gap theme. There's obviously the theme of going crazy and isolation. There the supernatural elements. There's a theme there. It's got a lot in it. But you had mentioned also like it's open to interpretation, but it's open to interpretation in a good way. So we had recently watched and reviewed The Prisoners, and at the end I was like, this film hasn't earned leaving me on a cliffhanger. But The Lighthouse is completely the opposite of that. I'm like, nope, you know what? I'm okay with the way this ends, with letting me come up with all of the different ways that this could have gone.
Oh, I agree. This movie leaves so many different tidbits, clues, whatever you want to call them, throughout the whole film. Well written. I would say this is a well written film. The dialogue isn't necessarily, what you would,
There's not a
normally see in
ton
a
of
film.
dialogue.
Well, a lot of what Willem Dafoe says in this movie is all in poem and stuff. Almost like you were talking about, kind of like he believes the sea stories or whatever. And a lot of the dialogue is him talking in kind of like old sailors' tales and stuff. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of interesting in that sense.
So there's actually a scene in here that I I don't want to say it's like a not an isolation thing, but there's a scene in here that I just have a toddler, and I thought every once in a while my toddler and I we go back and forth, and I'll be like no, and she'll say no back, and I'll be like no, and she'll say no back. We'll just get into this like back and forth with no. And there's a scene in here where Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson are just yelling at each other, what, 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 and it's just, and I'm just like this is just like living with my toddler. But really, this movie was just so well made. If we go back to our best of 2019 list, where I hadn't seen it yet, and I listed it as a movie I wish I had seen, I would change my vote for best actor. I would say Willem Dafoe knocked it out of the park with this. This was such a good performance. I think this is better than Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. I think it's better than Christian Bale in Ford v Ferrari. Willem Dafoe was amazing in this film.
Both actors were excellent in this film. I don't know that I would necessarily change mine, but yes, I really enjoyed, especially like one scene, without giving anything away. There's a part where Willem Dafoe is getting like dirt in his face and stuff, and he's still going through all the lines as dirt is getting put in his mouth and stuff as he's like spitting it out and going. I'm just like, wow, really doing a really good job, dedicated to stuff. But another thing about this movie, visually too, it's kind of filmed like an older film. It's all in black and white, but not just, it being in black and white. It's also kind of like the camera shots and the transitions and like the long stares into the camera. All, old school movie making. And it really feels true to that. And it adds to the atmosphere of this film. Really well done.
The movie making for me in this film is really fantastic. It's one of those movies where like the most important stuff gets done in the first 15-20 minutes. They take you through like Serenity, where they took you through the ship like right away. They do that. They take you through the lighthouse and they show you the tiny confines that these people are going to be stuck in together. Like there's not that much room, there's not that much there. The way it was shot, the long shots, the way the score really drives the movie instead of just being a part of the background. It's like, no, if this didn't have this score, the movie would be nowhere near as good as it is. And it's just so well put together from the very first scene to the very last scene. I really wish I had caught it in theaters when it was in theaters.
Oh, I agree. Part of that too, you were talking about like the sound and score and stuff. Part of it is it goes with like the madness a little bit, like the foghorn or whatever for the lighthouse kind of becomes like the music backdrop kind of thing of that horn kind of like going off kind of thing. So Robert Pattinson's doing all of his chores and stuff, kind of leading to that madness a little bit about that isolation, that thing that's always in the back of your mind kind of thing too. Yes, I agree. Well done.
Yeah, the only thing that I didn't like really was Robert Pattinson's accent is kind of all over the place. I couldn't quite figure out if he's supposed to be like an Irish immigrant, but like they also said he was from Canada, like a logger in Canada. So like his accent was everywhere, but when I look back on it, I'm thinking, well, maybe that's just a hint. Maybe that's on purpose. Maybe he is kind of like these two or three different kind of individuals, and I don't know. And like you said earlier, it's open to interpretation, but like that's it. Like if I find anything about the movie that bugs me, it's that his accent changes. And upon review, like just thinking on it, I'm like, could that have been on purpose? I don't know.
Yeah, this is a movie I'm definitely gonna have to watch again, whether it's on in theaters or wait a little bit and watch it on video again. Yeah, I totally agree. I hope it does come out in theaters because I would enjoy watching this film.
Yeah, and this is definitely one of the most visceral films that I've watched in a long time, where you just You feel what's going on. You're not just watching it. You feel like a participant almost. It was amazing. So it's right up there with even though I think 2001: A Space Odyssey is kind of overrated, but it's like that kind of feel to it.
Yep. Very good. Very good. So, Randall and I, we want to know what you guys think about The Lighthouse if you've seen it. If not, I would recommend that you check this out. If you like our review, be sure to give us a thumbs up. We got a lot more content that we put together and they're working on, so be sure to subscribe to check out those. And also keep up with us on social media. For now, I'm Matt in Michigan. See you guys.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. Everyone have a great day.